Good evening, everyone. Hi, this is Sherry Sims, founder of Black Career Women's Network, and thank you for tuning in for another career conversation tonight. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you who guys are new to BCWN Career Conversations, Google Hangout, please join us at bcwnetwork.com. I want to introduce our very special guest. She is the chief BOSSPreuner herself, but she's also a BCWN career mentor. Her name is Becky A. Davis. Now, I want to go ahead and share some things about Becky real quick before we get started. Becky is a greatness facilitator and leadership growth accelerator. She is highly respected in the industry. She's originally from Texas, but now she is in Atlanta, Georgia. She is a sought-out motivational speaker and a dynamic career transition entrepreneur and small business coach with a solid track record for helping people with their career development in corporate America. She founded and is the president of MVP Works, which offers professional and personal development and guidance to individuals, entrepreneurs, small business owners through coaching, training, and speaking. Becky speaks on topics that offer personal development to create professional growth and success. She offers proven growth strategies that inspire clients, audiences to identify their passion, purpose, and assess their skills and potential to construct a blueprint to reach their goals. She's cultivated her coaching expertise through 20 years of experience in retail management, where she advised the regional vice president in training and development, human resources, and coached employees at all levels. In her last corporate position, Becky was the regional vice president responsible for operations and sales at Sears Optical, which is a division of Luxottica Retail. She's been featured in a lot of publications. My girl has been all over the place. She's been recognized in Hope for Women magazine as one of 25 women that's inspiring, a Women of Excellence by Atlanta Gospel Fest, and recognized by Women of Influence, along with actress Jasmine Guy, journalist Soledad Bryan. Guys, excuse me, I'm sick today, so if I'm fumbling, that's because I don't feel good. And also, too, by the former Atlanta Mayor Shirley Franklin. She also is the author of It's Okay to Be Great, Knowledge the Great Equalizer, It's Not What You Do, It's Why You Do It, along with the self-help, leadership, and spiritual books. Becky has been a radio personality and a host. She's also an advocate for women and has founded a 501c3 nonprofit organization called Leading in High Heels, which provides gently worn shoes to women of domestic violence and abuse. So without further ado, you guys, please give a warm welcome to my girl, my hero, my shero, Miss Becky A. Davis.
Thank you, Miss Sherry. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. We are glad you are here. Thank you so much for joining us. So tonight's topic, you guys, is going to be about becoming a BOSSPreuner and how women can transition from being an employer to an employee. So before we do that, I want Becky to maybe share some other things about herself that maybe her bio that wasn't in her bio that she wants you guys to know about her tonight before we get started.
Well, thank you so much, Sherry. I'm glad to be a part of this. Based on some of the things Sherry has talked about in the bio, just to give you a little bit more insight, working in retail for over 25 years, I really thought about that number today. And was speaking and told a group I started when I was in junior high. That's why I look so young. But started 25 years in retail management, leading teams and managing teams, and figured out through performance reviews and continued promotions that I was really good at coaching and developing and being able to get results. And from that, just decided, maybe I should do this for myself. The company that I was working for was rapidly changing. The dynamics of it was changing, and it just didn't feel the same way it did when I first started. And so I started thinking about my exit strategy. And that in that exit strategy, it was 3 years from thinking about the exit strategy till I actually left the organization. But in that 3 years, I started to think, how can I offer and provide some of these training that I do for, corporate executives? How can I do that for myself? And originally I was going to do it for corporations. I was going to do leadership development and training for corporations. But prior to leaving the organization, we had acquired another business that had franchise included. So there was corporate stores and franchise stores. I'd never worked with a franchise store, and in my market, I had some franchise stores that I was responsible for helping those franchise to grow. And when I took over the market, there were several of them set up to close. And I went to go and help, you know, through the process of closing those stores, and realized that 3 of the stores really didn't need to close. They just didn't know what they didn't know, and they wasn't asking for help from the company prior to the acquisition. And so they didn't have some of the resources that was provided. And I just said, if I can help you get this turned around, you know, would you keep it open? It was like, yeah. And we did that, and that was such a feel good to me. It just made me think, how many more other small businesses are closing or struggling because they don't know what they don't know. And so that's really where my desire for helping to build small businesses really started to come from, to be able to go in and assess those businesses and turn them around. That was my passion driver right there. Yeah.
Well, I love the story, and I think that most women want to know specifically how to go about this whole transition, right? And so, even for myself, sometimes I wish I was, where was Becky when I first started this journey? Because I had to figure it out for myself, which is okay, because that's the whole part of what we're here for. So let's jump right in and talk about the first thing that maybe a lot of women are going to want to know, and I hope you guys are taking notes. And for those of you who are viewing right now, share this link with your friends. You want to make sure, if they ever have a thought about becoming an entrepreneur and transitioning from the full-time jobs to being from employee to employer, Becky is a lady that can help you with that. So it's important that you share this with your friends if they're thinking about it, just to give them some ideas of what they can do to start really, you know, pulling the trigger to get things going. Mm-hmm. So please share this tonight's event or the link with your friends. So let's jump right in, Becky, and talk about the first one, which is, how can women reduce some of the mistakes that are easily made when starting a business? And, you know, and share with us some of the things that you, some of the mistakes that you made along the way of going through this process of becoming an entrepreneur.
And and I didn't learn it right away. I had to hit my head a few times and you know, like, okay, now I get it now. But there's a mental shift that has to take place when you come out of working for someone, a corporation, to working for yourself. I never even thought about the shift. All I thought was, I can take what I have and be able to package it and share it with the world. But some of the mental shift was that I was now responsible for everything. Now, I knew that logically, but when it came time to do the work, I was responsible for everything. Coming from an organization where I was responsible for a group and a team, but my goals, the projections, all that came down to me from the head of the company. And then I would disperse that information out and what our sales targets and goals were. Nobody was going to give me that. I had to come up with all of that. I had to create everything. I was responsible for all the decisions, good and bad, would rest on me. So that's a mental shift that you don't even think that you have to think about, but that's a shift from employee to entrepreneur. That's a mental shift. Another thing that was a mental shift is you have to focus on short-term and long-term goals. A lot of times when we work in corporations, short term is, well, whatever the goal is, whatever the company gives, that's what we focus on. But as an entrepreneur, you have to focus on that and where else you need to be a year from now, 2 years from now. What's the next thing you have to do? So you have to be able to really balance both short term, what I need to be doing right now, and what I need to be doing to keep this going a year from now. And that was different because I wasn't thinking about the projections when I was working for the company, because I knew in December everything was going to wrap up. I would get at the end of December, the beginning of January, what the new focus, the new targets were, what the initiative was, what the mission was for that year. All of that was going to come at a certain time. And I didn't have to think about that. Well, as an entrepreneur, that's your job now, to think about those things. That you have to start to transition that piece as well. And another thing, the third thing that is a mental shift from employee to entrepreneur is you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You know this too, Sherry, is that it all rests and fall on you. Everything rests and it falls on you until you really start to build it up. So you have to think outside of the box. There cannot even be a box as an entrepreneur, because you have to figure out what you need to do next. And in doing that, you're the accountant, you're the marketing person, you are operations manager, you're the CEO, and then you're the worker in the business too. And so there's a total mental shift that you go from being an employee and you think, oh yeah, I had it hard there. Oh, well, there's a whole lot more that you're exposed to that you have to do as an entrepreneur. The journey, it's a phenomenal journey, and it's worth every bit of it to me, but it's not an easy journey. So there's mistakes are gonna come up. There is nobody that can tell you if you become an entrepreneur, I'm going to help you get past all of the mistakes. That's a myth. That's not true. There's no way you cannot make some of those mistakes. Now, you can reduce the mistakes. You can learn some things in advance to reduce them, but making mistakes comes along with it. There's people that have been in business 15, 20 years, still make mistakes, because there's some risk involved in being an entrepreneur. So that's a change. And then the fourth change I want to share is that being an entrepreneur is a continuous journey to learn. It never stops. And what it made me think about is when you work for a company, you have a job description, you have a list of things that you're responsible for doing. And as long as you know those things, you're doing those things, that's fine. There's no list here. It's your job responsibility is whatever needs to be done to move the business forward. So it involves learning new skills, things that you didn't know. I had to learn social media. I was never on social media when I was in corporate America. Never. Didn't even have time for it. But I had to learn it to be a part of it if I was going to run a business, because not being a part of it was going to just affect you actually having a business. So I had to learn social media. I had to start doing research and learning things that I never even thought about while I was in corporate America. So there's some mental shift that you have to start thinking about when you go from employee to entrepreneur, some things that that's going to feel a little different. I always worked from my office, Sherry. I worked from home. My office was in my home for the last, I would say 8 years. And so I knew I was disciplined and can get work done. But when I started my own business, I was working from the same office at home. The biggest difference was I had a team that I could call. I had, I could always pick up the phone. We could talk about what was going on. I had peers that I could talk to. I had a boss that I could talk to. So there was some additional interaction. When I started working for myself, the phone didn't ring. There was nobody calling me about anything. I was just like, oh my God, it gets very lonely when you're by yourself. And I had to start to figure out, well, I got to get out of here. So I started going out to Starbucks to do work during the day. I would go out to Barnes and Noble just so I could have people interaction, because it can drive you crazy, just silence all day while you're working. So there's some mental shifts that you don't even think about are going to come up, but they will come up when you become an entrepreneur. Those are some of the things that will automatically come up that you need to start thinking about now. If you're thinking about being an entrepreneur.
Right. So with that being said, I know you talked about the isolation piece and the whole loneliness part, because sometimes I know that can be hard. For me, yeah. That was apparent pretty quickly, because I've always been so used to the employee engagement, coming yeah. from, those circles. So when you talk about that, and we talk about going to Barnes and Nobles, going to Starbucks, what else can women do to come out of that isolated place? Mm-hmm. Where else can they go to connect with yeah. other women or other entrepreneurs to feel like they're, they got a circle of support around them?
Right, exactly. And I started networking But here's something to watch out in networking too. I started going to functions where entrepreneurs, small business functions, workshops, luncheons, breakfasts, evening events to start just building relationships with other people. The watch out is just to, first of all, figure out which ones are beneficial to you. I went to everything, Sherry, that I got an email on, or everything that I found that was a network engagement. So I was spending $20 here, $40 here, $50 here, going to everything. And in some of the networking events was not beneficial at all, wasn't helpful to me, didn't have the right people in there. But then when I started to get real focused on, okay, you need to go look, pick, and find the ones that work for you. And once I started going and networking, I started focusing on building relationships with some of those women inside of those functions. I started attending conferences, conferences that was to pour into me. And at the same time, I could meet other women who were doing the same thing, or like-minded women. And that is going to take you a long way once you start building relationships and connections with other people, because it was a year before I really started building those connections. So the first year, I was just trying to figure it out myself. I wouldn't suggest that for anyone. But once I started building those connections, it was great to be able to pick up the phone and bounce an idea off of somebody else and say, what do you think about this? I didn't have that at first. So being able to go out and network at different things around your city, or go to different conferences and start building relationships, that was huge for me, because I started to build collaboration relationships and partnerships that are still connected to me today.
So I like what you said in terms of, you went to everything in the beginning. And one of the things that I think I did right, the one thing I probably did right at the beginning when I started this journey, was that I did pick and choose the places that I wanted to network. I don't attend everything. And locally, they don't see me. They don't see me at every event here locally where I am now. They just don't. And because I pick and choose what I want to go to, that I feel like is going to be not necessarily beneficial for me, but this most effective for the brand overall. Yeah. And so that's what I think about, is how is my presence going to really help to impact the brand? Yeah. And smart. So that's why I do not attend, every event that goes on locally here. And I probably could attend more than what I do, but I just tend to think about the bigger picture of how is this going to, look for the brand, and versus where can I go with that? So yeah. I think that's good.
That was really smart to be able to do, because at the end of the year, I was exhausted and just said, this was a waste of time. I'm not doing that. Next year, I'm going to pick the organizations I'm going to go to consistently. The other stuff, I'm leaving it alone.
Yeah, and you do hear about people who, I've heard people locally say, oh, I looked up and I was doing my expenses, and I spent like $1,000 going to all these different events and all these different conferences, and didn't really get anything out of that. So I think that it adds up. So for me, and for those of you who are starting your business on a shoestring budget, it's important for you to be mindful of that. That you have to be very strategic about where you want to spend that money at that time in the beginning. So any other tips that you want to share with the the viewers in reference to talking about some of the other mistakes? I can say one thing. I will say this. Yes. One mistake that I made in the very beginning is that I didn't form a tribe quickly. Yeah. I'm not talking about like the social media for the network, but for me, I didn't do that immediately. I did have some friends who supported what I did and they were involved, but I did not create a tribe early on that could help me with certain things, not consistently. Right. So I think once I got to a certain place and I was looking for help in other areas, it was harder for me to find. So what is your recommendation for, creating a tribe early on in the journey?
Yeah, I think that was a downfall for me too. Like I said, it was a year before I was going to everything, meeting people, and it wasn't always the right connections for me. So a year later, I started building relationships, which I didn't really focus on at first. I was just wanting to be wherever what was going on to be able to be out there, but starting to build relationships. So the places that I chose to network with, I chose to get involved and to volunteer so that I could get to know the people there and build relationships, because those people started to open more doors for me because of just of the relationship. But that was a downfall. Another one is I didn't ask for help sooner. Most of the time we struggle way too long before we even start asking for help and figuring it out. That was something that I would do different, is I would ask for help sooner. The minute I think I need something or need to understand something, today I would go and get that help and ask for help. One of the other things in starting out is to manage your funds properly. Like I said, I was going everywhere, and that was taking money out. Or if there was, I'd say, well, okay, well, I'm going to get this and package this. And I needed to take whatever was coming in and manage that properly and use it wisely on things that was going to give me a return on the investment. So managing your funds properly is a big part when you start out, because whenever it comes in, you have to manage that in a way where it's going to give you another return on investment. If not, I see so many entrepreneurs, it comes in, they've spent, and now something else they need to do something else. They don't have it to do it. So being able to manage your funds. Another thing I would suggest in starting out is to test your products and services in advance. I did that before I launched. I had two test groups to come out, and it gave me the feedback that I needed about my program, about the product that I was going to offer, and it helped me to improve it. So I made it better. The first pilot, I got feedback, made it better. When I did the second one, different group of people got feedback, made it a little better. What I see happen so often, people just jump in and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And they struggle, and they don't know why they're struggling. No one's asked for that product. No one even wants that product, or the way the product is titled, no one wants it. But when I tested product and got feedback, then it done well when I got it to the marketplace. Then at one point I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to create. I didn't test it, put it in the marketplace, crickets, nobody bought it, resonated with it, because I didn't test it to see what my community would want, if that was something, if that was a need, if that was an issue. Nope, it wasn't. I just thought it was good. So I would say to reduce some of your mistakes, test your product or your service in advance so that you can get an idea of what's going to resonate.
Yeah, I think that testing is important, and that's something I didn't do in the beginning. I just kind of threw the stuff out there just to kind of see how it would bite, and then I would just tweak it as I went along. So, and that may not always be the best thing to do. So I do agree with testing the market first and seeing how the people who your followers are going to respond to that. So I think it's important that you and do your research if you can. So I definitely appreciate those tips.
Yeah.
And I know the viewers do too. Real quick, viewers, I want to say, if you're watching directly in the Google Hangout, feel free to use the Q&A box to ask Becky any questions. If you are watching live from our website, please use our Twitter or our Facebook group page and ask any questions you may like to Becky. I am monitoring both of those. So please feel free to ask any questions. Just ask away. All right, so let's go to the next one, Becky. I want to talk about the next one, which is getting clear on effective transition for your launch time and your launch plan for success. What are some of the things that women need to do to create an effective transition? What should be this checklist of things they should be wanting to put in place?
Excellent question. And there should definitely be a checklist. I know a lot of people say, I'm ready to leave my job. And I always say, not yet. If you're still working, don't leave yet. Let that job fund you and get you ready for where you're trying to go. Because once you leave, it's hard. It's hard trying to do it, and there's no income coming in. So one of the things that I take clients through, if they're still working and they want to leave, is a form that has all of their must-pay bills, because 9 times out of 10, you'll start a business and you don't realize you still got some cost of living bills that are still going to be there. And so we go through that. And when they see this is what would need to be coming in, if you have a savings, how much of that will take you through how many months? So, you know, because if you started and don't have to stress out because money's not coming in, it works better for you. So if you realize that, okay, I need to save up to where I have 6 months to a year or 2 years saved up, then I won't stress out. I can do what I need to do. But when you do that worksheet and you say, hey, I only have at least 1 month worth of this, it's not time for you to take that leap yet. And so to be able to, first of all, do your financial plan, start figuring out some of the things you're going to need in business, doing your researching the business, not just the part that you do, the skill set that you do, but the business. What is it going to take? Am I going to need more than one computer? Am I going to need pamphlets? Am I going to need workbooks? All of this stuff, doing your research to know what you're going to need to launch will help you, because I did that to fund my way while I was doing my 3-year exit strategy. I was getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, and that 2 weeks was paying and funding. So it helped me to hire a coach for a year while I was still working in corporate America. That coach helped me to build a practice and learn the steps to building a business. That was like mind blowing to me, because when I went through that, I was like, wow, I had no idea what I was getting into until I went through that process and was like, okay, I'm going to need a website. The website is going to cost this. Once I have the website, I need cards. I need a speaker demo video. I needed a one sheet. I needed all of that stuff. I had no idea until I actually start doing the research and someone was helping me through that process. So know what it's going to take for you in your business. I know I have clients that do custom jewelry. It's like, what is it going to take for you to buy the product to make the jewelry? What is it going to take for you to go out to the intent of functions so that people can see your jewelry? You'll have it on your website, but you need to build some generation and some traction around it. And in that, when she started doing her worksheet and realized, I didn't realize that it was going to take all of this, because we put dollars to everything. And when people realize it's going to cost you some money to do some of these things, then it's like, okay, so now let's put a plan together. What is your marketing plan? So you know what those dollars will look like. Your building plan, having your LLC, getting your license, that costs you some money to do that, setting your business up as a legitimate business, getting a telephone line so that you can have a communication, having, if you don't have if you have a home office, you still need a place where your mail can come that doesn't have your home address on it. So you need a post office box, or so all of that cost money. And when I started adding up all of those things that I just didn't think about as some of the little things, that starts to affect you making affect you with being able to start your business. So get a financial plan in place. Know exactly the research for your business, what you're going to need to be able to launch it. Because if not, you're going to stress yourself out.
Mm-hmm. I do agree with that. So we've got a question, Becky.
Yes.
We have a question from a viewer. And excuse me, you guys, I'm battling a cold over here. So, okay. So the question is from Jovakia. I hope I said your name right. Hi, Jovakia. Thank you for watching. She says, hi, when you're testing the market with your products, do you charge, or is this something you suggest to do as a free service or a small fee?
Guys, I did mine totally free. And I did it free because I needed the feedback and I needed a good number of people. And so I did mine free. Now, if you charge something and then you're asking them to give you something, which is feedback, then it feels like, well, what did I pay for? And so I didn't charge because there was something, I'm going to give you this content because I want something from you. I want your feedback. I want your thoughts. I want your ideas. And I prepared for that session because I created the feedback forms so that I can be specific, because I didn't want to say, okay, you guys tell me what you think. I did each one of the, I taught 5 different areas, and I had for each area, in this area, what did you like? Did the story resonate with you? Did the 3 tips, did they help you? Was it basic? Do you think it exceeded expectations? So I wanted, because I need the specifics, because if you don't guide them, they'll just say, oh yeah, it was good. I didn't need to hear that. I need to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right. That's true. So I think I like that you said that, because, you know, I remember specifically that to sign up for my network was free in the beginning. And so I wanted to keep it that way for a long time. And so my coach was like, you need to start charging. You need to get a membership plan. And I was so reluctant to do it. But I really felt like that doing it free in the beginning was the best way to go. Yeah. Because I think sometimes if you come out the gate charging for your service too quickly and you don't have the value already there,
right,
that it may take a long time for people to really to gravitate towards that. So I really want people to be engaged and understand what we do, what our purpose is, the mission, and feel like they're being affected by it in a good way,
right,
in terms of their careers, before we start going into this whole, you know, now buy into what we're doing type of thing. So I agree on what it is. Yeah, if it's a product or service.
Yeah, that was smart to do, because as you build it out, and it's smart when people come out with memberships for people to sign up for, where you pay money, when they're established, that's easy to do. Right. But if you're not established, I know Allie Brown has a membership, and she didn't start the membership till she got established and well known. And then when she started the membership, people didn't want to miss out on it being a part of it free. It was so good, they didn't want to miss out. So then they you know, pay for the membership. If you start out asking for a membership and you're not known, you haven't built up any results, people are gonna be, well, I really don't know what I'm getting. I don't know what this is gonna be like, and I don't want to be paying this money. And so when you build it up and they come, then you can start to charge. Because sometimes I think that's some of the groundwork and the road work that we have to do in starting a business to get where we're trying to get. That was a good question.
Yeah, let's talk really quick about instincts. I know for me, starting this network, a lot of everything that I have done has been instinctual. It's been definitely off of my gut feelings of what thinking about what would I want from a perspective of career development, what things would I gravitate towards that I feel like would be useful for me in my career. So a lot of the things that I've put together and done have been off of instinct, and they worked. But, you know, what about for women who maybe have a gut feeling about doing something? What is the advice that you could give them in reference to, okay, I have this gut instinct that I'm going to try this? It's almost, and I guess like the example I can give for those of you who know who Alfred Hitchcock is, for us old school women know, right? Alfred Hitchcock is. But Alfred Hitchcock, when he created Psycho, no one wanted to fund it. No one wanted to fund Psycho. They thought he is psycho for wanting to do Psycho. But he was so adamant about making this movie, and he used his own money to make the movie. And the movie was a hit. Yeah. The movie was an absolute blockbuster, but no movie producer or company wanted to touch that script because they thought it was nuts and it wasn't going to sell. But his gut instinct kept saying, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And his gut instinct was right. So what do you tell women who have this gut instinct to move on something specific within their business in the beginning, right? Yeah. And of how smart should they be about, you know, following the instinct, and what should they be thinking about to make sure they're executing it in the right way?
Sherry, that is such a good question. I just pulled off my bookshelf this book called Trust Your Gut. How the Power of Intuition Can Grow Your Business by Lynn Robinson. And I picked up this book a few years ago because, and what the book says, our gut is always right. It's always right. It's that instinctual thing that's just inside of us. It's always right. Not sometimes, it's always right. It's just that we fight with it, our internal gut. I did the same thing. I knew I was supposed to leave corporate America and start my business. I knew, but I was scared. I didn't want to lose the security of a paycheck. I didn't know what it was going to be like getting out on my own. So I I knew it, but I didn't trust it. So I would, I just kept 1 year. I was going to leave within a year. At the end of that year, I was like, well, I'll wait till next year. At the end of that year, I was like, well, I'll wait till next year. So 3 years ends up going by because I know I'm supposed to do this. My gut was telling me I was supposed to do it, but it wasn't until December 29th when I had an abdominal surgery. 6 days later, I'm rushed back to the hospital, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. My vitals are bad. They can't get, my veins have collapsed. All this craziness is going on. And then come to find out, they come in and they run tests to find out what's going on. I have been internally bleeding for 6 days from the day of the original surgery. So for 6 days, I had been hemorrhaging. And I remember the doctor saying, the last thing I heard the nurse say as they were ruling me out is, we have to get in here stat or we're going to lose her. Now that's one thing to go to sleep on, is that we're going to lose, like, last thing I hear. And then they start to inject me to knock me out to do surgery to find out what's going on and where's the blood coming from. But I remember when I woke up the next morning and I saw a ceiling and not clouds, I figured I must be alive, because this got to be a room. Heaven can't have a ceiling. And I lay there in that bed and tears just fell down my face. And I cried and I cried because, first of all, I was excited to be alive because of what I just went through. And then at the same time, I knew I was not following my purpose and my passion. I knew it. And the fact that I was alive, I said, you have a chance to do something now. And my gut had been telling me, but I was so scared to do it. I was just, I was doing all this stuff under the umbrella. I'm preparing, but it just kept getting longer and longer. And after that, I just really just had to say, okay, I am not going to die with everything that I have to offer and give to the world inside of me. I have to give it out. And so I went back to, I was at home for 3 months recuperating. When I went back to work, I gave my notice 2 months after I got back to work. And I wasn't ready to give my notice then. My gut just says, go now. You've done enough preparation. You'll figure it out as you go. But it was that gut thing, all of that time, that was saying, Becky, you need to act on this. But I was always scared to do it. Our gut is probably the most accurate guide for what we need to do and where we need to go. And we battle with it. We war with it, and we're going back and forth. But the minute you just say, okay, let me figure out how to get past the fear, because that's what's stopping you when you're not even trusting your gut, is the fear of we'll create this image of what we think is going to happen. And that image is so frightening, we do nothing. And so the minute we can say, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. And for me, that was the first time I said, I don't have to know. I could care less. I just know I need to do this. And the minute I took that leap of faith, that step, everything opened up for me. Everything opened up for me. So our gut, our instinct, when I tell you, I listen to it more now today. Wisdom has taught me that. Age has taught me some of that as well. I'll listen to it more now than I used to listen to it. But now if my gut is saying something, whether it's a relationship, if my gut is saying pull away, let this go, something's not right, I listen to it, and I don't have to know why it's not right. I just move away from it, because I found every time I go against it, you hear people say all the time, I knew something was funny about that person, or I felt like, yeah, but you did it anyway. So I just said, okay, I'm just going to trust it. Whatever it's telling me, I'm just going to pull away from it. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping the viewers really that this message resonated with you all in reference to trusting your gut instinct, because that's something that comes from a spiritual place. It's not just, this idea in your head. It's something that is within you, that you're drawn to do, that you owe it to yourself to explore what that means, explore what is this guiding you towards your purpose, because it could be. So exploration is important when you start feeling that way. We're not talking about jumping off a cliff. We're talking about explore what it could be, the possibilities of why you're feeling that way. And then trusting your gut enough to say, okay, I've explored this. This is the direction I probably could go in. And then moving in that direction and taking risk. So let's talk a little bit more about that, because I know we have one more left, which is identifying the type of support you need to help you build your brand and continue to grow.
Yes.
And I think, and you said something that was very important in the beginning of this career conversation, was talking about that is a constant development. You're constantly growing as an entrepreneur, and you don't know everything. You will never know everything. And you need to continue to be open to developing yourself to be a strong leader for whatever it is that you're doing. So, we have a question.
Okay.
From Serena Rochelle. Hi, Serena. Thank you for watching. We appreciate that. From Her Zone TV. And she says, have you found African-American women or women in general to be supportive or competitive within the same arena of business as an entrepreneur?
Oh, good question.
About to get juicy now.
Well, let's just keep it real then. Ask the right question then. You know what? I have, and I think it's how you maneuver a situation is my thoughts on it. I have been in environment and in spaces where you can get some of that cattiness from women. And for me, the minute I identify it, I just keep it moving. I mean, I will move on to the next person, be cordial and keep it moving. But I have been totally fortunate and blessed to have met some phenomenal women that will give you whatever it is that they can give you to help you along the journey. What I learned is I had to elevate my circle. Because initially, when I started to feel or see more of that, then I realized I'm just in the wrong place. This has to be the wrong. Everybody can't be. So I'm in the wrong place, Becky. So you need to move into some different circles. When I elevated my circle of women, then that changed. It changed in a way where I'm telling you, people were open, other women were open to helping and supporting and encouraging and being a listening ear and a guiding force in the matter. But you have to, because people are going to be people. There are good and bad people everywhere in every industry. You're going to run into them in your industry. That's just going to happen. I just choose not to surround myself with those people. So I can go to a function, and as a speaker, there's always a lot of speakers. When there's conferences, there's several people speaking. And for me, I like to connect with people. So I always make sure that I connect with people. But there are times when you can tell that some people will pull themselves away because they have some type of feeling. And for me, it's their issue. It's not mine. If you got an issue and you don't know me, that's all on you. So I just won't carry.
You said that at the conference.
Yes, I will not. I will not carry your monkey on my back. That's something you got to deal with. And so I just keep it moving. But the women that are open to connecting and growing and supporting, all day long, I will reach out because I'm a giver. By nature, I'm a giver. And so I will share and pour into other women. And then when women do the same thing to me, I'm excited about it. I don't believe that a category of women, even as African-American women, that we can't work together and get along. I do it too often with too many Black women that truly got my back. You know, not with a knife in it, but with the arm around me. So I think it's twofold. When you see it too much, just move from those crowds or elevate your circle of people and influence.
Yeah, and I do think that once you start this journey, and we talk, this goes back to the growth, right? This goes back to the growth. You are going to have to elevate your journey, because some of your friends that are in your space right now are not going to understand this journey you're going on. And you're not going to relate to it. So we're not saying kick your friends to the curb. What we're saying is you need to start including some other people into your circle that are at that level already, so you can be elevated as well. And also too, again, and I think I've learned this even in where I am in this process. I hate my nose to stop up. I know I sound horrible. But, I know there are some people that I have had to let go of already, and that I have, learning from my own guts instincts that, this person may not be someone I need to continue to be communicating with in my circle, and I might have to cut ties with this person.
Yeah.
So you have to, again, trust your instinct and understand once you get to a certain level that there's going to be things that people want from you, and that there's not going to be a partnership. You have to, that spirit of discernment comes in, just like anything else, any other relationship in your life. You're going to have to use the same thing when it comes to business and working for yourself. And Serena says, thank you for answering. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for the question. That was a good, a really good question, because you hear it a lot, especially with women and especially with African-American women. But I know some bad sisters that I can pick up the phone and I know they have my back without asking for anything from me, but I elevated my circle too.
Yeah. And I think it's just like any other relationship that's in your life. You just have to pick and choose and create a balance in your circle, entrepreneur circle. Same way you do any other female-male relationships. Right. You have to just to pick and choose that. And again, if you find somebody catty, you should have a no tolerance level for that. This is a no bullcrap zone. So and eliminate those people fairly quickly. But you gotta know who you are too, in order to realize when it's a bunch of crap and eliminate that. So we've got about 10 minutes left, Becky. What do you want, some of the takeaways you want the women who are viewing tonight? What do you want them to take away in terms of nuggets of wisdom for tonight's career conversation?
You know, one thing I do want to leave them with, especially when we're talking about partnerships and who you are connected with, 6 relationships that every entrepreneur should have. I want you to know those, because if you don't have one of them, you know you need to obtain it. You know you need to build it. So maybe when you go network, you're not networking to build a connection for a potential client, but this might be the person that I need in this particular area. So the 6 relationships is we all need a mentor. And a mentor are those people who have the experience that we are looking to have in the area that we are looking to grow in. So if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm speaking and training and coaching, my mentor needs to be someone who has done what I've done at another level. So we all need a mentor who can kind of help guide us through the process. The second relationship we need is a role model. The role model are people that you look up to, that you admire. They don't have to be an entrepreneur. They don't have to be in your industry. They just might be somebody that you admire and you look up to, that you can call and have an honest conversation with, because that role model is going to always tell you right, wrong, good, or bad. The third relationship is you need to have experts as a part of your circle. Those are people who have a specific knowledge or specific skill that you're going to need as you go through the entrepreneur journey that you currently don't have. And so I know one of my expert connections is my graphic designer. The girl is the bomb.com, but she's an expert where when I'm putting something together, I can say, well, hey, well, what do you think about this? Or how do I need to do this? Or what? Because that's her area of expertise. So you need to have experts as a part of your circle. You need an accountability partner. We all need an accountability partner. Those who hold us responsible for achieving the goals that we say we're going to achieve. Those that will pick up the phone and follow up and say, Becky, you said you was going to be writing on your book today. Are you writing in the book? What are you doing? You had a time frame. When you're going to get this done? We all need an accountability partner. Number 5 is people who have shared interest. Those relationships are people who have similar interests or shared interests as you, that you can talk about some of the exact same things with, that you're passionate and you're excited about moving forward. They're passionate and excited as well. They're trying to build a future. They're trying to build a business. And because you guys have that commonality, that shared interest of trying to be go-getters, you need to have those relationships, because sometimes that shared interest person is the only person you can call when you are up against the wall, because they get it. They understand where you're coming from. And then the 6th partner, the last relationship you need to have, is what's called a complementary partner. And complementary partners are people who have talents or skills that can benefit you. I started to use this in my business. Once I started building relationships and connecting with people, I started having complementary partners, which is people who had a skill set or offered a service. When I first started, I had a PR person that worked on my business, and we bartered. She was looking to grow her business and I could help promote her. And at the same time, she could help open up some PR. So we had a complementary partnership. You give me this, I give you that. We both agree this is the outcome that we want. Those 6 relationships are key for everybody that is interested in becoming an entrepreneur. So if you're thinking about being an entrepreneur, if you are an entrepreneur, start looking at, do I have a mentor? Do I have a role model? Do I have an expert? Do I have an accountability partner in this? Do I have someone where we have shared interests? And do I have a complementary partner? If I only have 2 of the 6, then I know the other 4, I need to build some relationships. But it's a goal that you know you need to work towards, because having these 6 relationships will help your journey be a lot smoother than trying to figure it out yourself. And I just got all 6 of the relationships. There's been times I've had 5, then I had 4, then I was able, but to have all 6 of them, it just feels totally different in running your business, because you can call people for what you need.
So I think too that you're absolutely right. The key thing is when you said that you don't have them all at the same time. You're not going to have them all at once. So you may have 2 now, you may gain 3 more later on. So just make sure that you are working on that, strategically working on it too, right? And don't go out and looking for it. Sometimes it's going to naturally happen for you. And for me, it happened along the way, because Becky, I'll call her and come to my girl, I'm about to go off the cliff.
It's like, don't do it.
So you need to have those. And I know for me, my role model came out of a place where I didn't think.
Right.
And I love her to death. She know Marsha Haygood. She always says, she's like, girl, please. I'm like, look, you're my hero too.
I love Marsha. She's a good
So and Marsha is my role model. So we find them in these different places that we never think about. So reach out sometimes to the people that you admire, and ask them to just have a conversation with them and get to know who they are. And that's important. That's how you build and cultivate the relationships and get to know them. And they like that. People like that when you want to get to know who they are. So, and it could be an inspiration to you and where you're going as well.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've got about 4 minutes left, Becky. I know that you have some fabulous products to help these women transition from being an employee to being a bosspreneur.
Exactly.
A chief bosspreneur like you. So share with our viewers about what you have to offer for them.
Yes, for BCWN, which I love, B-Dub, as your daughter says it.
Yes, it's BC-Dub. She calls it BC-Dub.
BC-Dub, as your daughter says it. But I wanted to definitely offer for people who are interested in going from employee to entrepreneur. I created the Successful BOSSPreuner Startup Kit. Let me hold it up. And this is a full kit that is full. It comes with a workbook inside of it. It's a 100-page workbook, but it takes you through different areas of how you start up. It takes you through 4 phases: the look phase, the learn phase, the labor phase, and the leap phase. So there are 4 different phases that as you go through the book, it's just going to help you to identify some things that you haven't thought about because you're not an entrepreneur yet. I put it together. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, because it was things that I struggled with. And then I polled a group of friends and started doing some research on what were some of the things you wish you would have known before you started. And once I got all of that information and research, I included that in the kit too, because I feel like if we needed to know it when we started, someone else needs to know it too, and put it together in the kit. So for anyone that's interested in getting the BOSSPreuner Successful Startup Kit, it's on my website at beckyadavis.com. But anybody on the listening to this can get this for 50% off. It's half price. The regular price of it, yes, just for my girl Sherry, looking out for her and her people. The regular price of it is $397. So it's $198 for the whole kit. And it comes, I have a lot of gifts and surprises in there. Some audio CDs and DVDs are in there. You get a BOSSPreuner short. That's just all the goodies outside of the information. But it'll help you go from idea to launch. So to be able to take your idea, because sometimes your idea, some of the questions in the book will make you think about that idea and say, I never thought about that. And that's really what the goal of it is to help you to stretch your thinking in ways that you didn't even think about. It helps you to put your financial plan and kit together, how to get funding, what that looks like. Takes you through marketing your business, how to launch and market. So there's a marketing plan in there. There's a plan in there with it's a template, an example, and then there's a blank one for you to put your information. That way you can see what was some of the stuff that's on there. Now you know how to work that that template. So I have examples and then a blank one for you to do your marketing plan, for you to do your launch plan, for you to put your calendar together. So it's just everything that you can do it within. I know people who are aggressive, they're ready, and in 8 to 12 weeks they're ready to launch. Going through the kit, and some of them they take the year to just digest and realize I got to go get this. Oh, I need to do this too. And so a year before they actually launch their business, but it walks them through the process.
So there you go, ladies, 50% off. Now, how long do they have to get the 50% off? What's the deadline?
And you know what? I need to give them the code for it, because when they go to the website, they're going to see $397. It's like, hey, where's the, you have to use the code BOSS50, BOSS50 for the 50% off. Put in BOSS50 when you go to the website. You can go to the Boss store and click on BOSSPreuner Successful Startup Kit and put in that code, and it'll automatically give you 50% off. Sherry, how long do you think I should give them? You think they need a, well, you tell me.
I would probably give it maybe, I don't know, 5 days maybe.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah,
we can do that.
Don't be mad at viewers. Y'all let me turn the devices, so I'm figuring it all out.
Exactly. Give you time to go in, look, research, and then do it. Yeah, we can do that. We'll definitely do it 5 days. I'll keep that code out there for 5 days for you to be able to get the kit to get you started and go through, miss some of the rough spaces. You're gonna hit some, but this will get you through some of the bumpy places.
So Becky, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Yes, all of my social sites is at BOSSPreuner. Since I'm the chief BOSSPreuner, so on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google, I'm at BOSSPreuner. On LinkedIn, I'm BeckyADavis.com, and I have a Facebook group, and it's for entrepreneurs and women that want to transition. You can join the Facebook group. It's BOSSPreneurs. We hang out in Boss Land, so when you put in BOSSPreuner, it will come up. And so it's a group of women entrepreneurs, and it's a very active group. So we have people ask questions when they're struggling, and I'm always trying to share content that can continue to help women to stretch their mind and their thinking as it relates to growing their business. So you can go to BOSSPreneurs, the group BOSSPreneurs in Bossland, and I'll accept you into the group if you're a woman. It's a woman group for women entrepreneurs.
All right, brothers, that means you cannot come in and play.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. But also tell them about your Tuesday. Tell them about your Tuesday night call that you have.
Yes, I do a call on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern time, a boss call. And I normally just get different people that I interview on that call. And so who we have coming up is Roz G. Roz G is a writer. Yes, I do too. Yes. Phenomenal. See, there's another good one. I'm going to have Roz on. She's a PR specialist. Her business is in PR, but she writes for Essence and Black Enterprise. Roz wrote an article up on me and In the Black. And so she's going to be helping entrepreneurs how to get PR in your business, how to get noticed, how to get publicity. So she's going to be on our next call. I have another person that's going to be on the call that's going to be teaching how to pitch your business. and she is phenomenal. So she's going to be coming up and how to pitch the business. So if you go to the website, on my website, in the banner, it'll scroll and you'll see the Tuesday Boss Call with the contact information on how to get on the call, the telephone number. But definitely join the Boss Call. I love doing it because it's a way to just help women. At all of those calls are free calls, and it's just ways to help women gain more insight from some experts.
Okay, you guys, there you have it. You got the full skinny on Miss Becky A. Davis, the chief bosspreneur herself. I just love her.
I love you back, girl.
So we want to go ahead and share. Thank you, Becky. Thank you so much for taking time out your busy schedule to be on the Career Conversation tonight. And for those of you, thank you for hanging there with me with my sniffles and my runny eye and runny nose.
You feel better and get you some rest too.
I know. I was like, well, you gotta keep pushing, right?
That's right.
So I want to share with you guys. We're going to be doing a Career Conversation next week, and my guest for the Career Conversation for next week, same time, Wednesday at 8 p.m., is going to be Miss Marsha Haygood, talking about being the CEO of your life. So I'm excited about that because Marsha is my role model.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a great conversation next week. Also, Marsha is the co-author of the Little Black Book of Success, The Laws of Leadership for Black Women. So just wanted to share that with you in terms of who she is. And I'll be sending out some information about her. And she also is a BCWN mentor as well. So tune in next week for the Career Conversation with her about being the CEO of your life. And it's going to be really good because she talks about leadership from the standpoint of ownership and being real about what that means. So she will be on next week, 8 o'clock, same day and time. So
yes.
Any last nuggets of wisdom you want to share?
You know what? I always end with my focus for women. If you think bigger and go harder, I guarantee you will live better. Promise.
Love it. I love it. I love it. So I'm going to end you with this. The life God gave you is larger than the life you've been living, which means that God gives us all special gifts. And it's our job to really discover what those are and use those to work in our purpose. So I'll leave you with my quote, which is know your worth, discover your strengths, and work in your purpose. You will be able to find this replay on our page, probably here in another 15, 20 minutes after a download. So feel free to go back to our page, watch the replay, share the replay with your friends, and share the replay with anyone who want to learn this message about entrepreneurship and how to transition into that. And then also too, if you had some aha moments during this Career Conversation with Becky that you want to share, tweet them out on our Twitter account, which is at BCW Network. Also on our Facebook page, same handle, BCW Network, or my handle, which is BCW Network CEO. So we look forward to hearing your feedback and hearing some aha moments that you've had from tonight's Career Conversation with Becky A. Davis. So again, you guys, until next week, have a wonderful rest of the week. This is Hump Day. It's almost over. 2 days left. Whoop, whoop. And you guys, good night. Say good night, Becky, before we go.
Bye-bye.
Bye, you guys. Becky, hang on.